Hey, what's up, guys? It's Prison Mike here. So I wanted to just do a hopefully quick follow-up video on the one that I last did involving Kay, who's the new officer from the machinist group. For people who don't know, there have been issues with this officer not working correctly. And I say that not working correctly because when you attack in the mines, and I have another video I can link for people who haven't seen it, but people, myself included, were finding that when using this new officer, instead of having better results, the results were often very clearly worse in the mines, which is the easiest way to do this type of testing in a controlled setting. And it wasn't that the officer wasn't having an effect, because if you attack the same person twice to try and test with this officer assigned, not assigned, there was clearly a different outcome. Whereas if it was just not including this officer at all, nothing would change and you'd have the exact same results in the mine. So we know that there was an issue. Camel seems to know there's an issue. There were multiple people reporting to their VIP reps about this. The VIP reps seem to respond in different ambiguous fashion. In my opinion, Camel remains the least transparent and willing to communicate literally anything to people, and there's been no mention of any of this in the game, no updates, nothing. They just like nothing. It sounds like they're aware that there's an issue, not only with the officer not actually working for people who are using him, especially even people who have like really leveled this up to a very high or maxed amount and not seeing any meaningful or good results, and actually seeing things worse, which is so ridiculous. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at, and it sounds like from the reps that they're aware that that's an issue, and that they also, the unworldly skills and stats are basically this seems like the same as Emily, so it's another long range instead of a mid range. So that also seems like it's a clear issue and error that they need to fix, because otherwise they're just doubling up on mid range or long range, no mid range equivalent. Which, even though there's only a few of us mid rangers out there, we tend to appreciate when things are relatively evenly distributed to make things somewhat competitive, hopefully at least. So, but anyways, so they seem to be aware of that, and the general consensus response was that everyone's on vacation at Camel. So I guess, first of all, happy belated lunar festival, or like mid-autumn festival for anyone celebrating, which for I think Chinese American people would have been yesterday and last night, because the full moon was last night. So I don't know when Camel's actually planning to come back to work. It's also great that their employees are on vacation. Nothing against that. I will say, however, from my perspective and in my opinion, maybe don't drop a new aspect to a game, or a new officer, for instance, that is clearly half-coded, error-ridden, and hasn't actually been tested, and then just peace out on vacation with no communication or follow-up for like weeks. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't run a multi-billion-dollar company, so what do I know? But seems pretty basic. That being said, Camel has stuff like this, in my opinion, happen all the time. Like they drop stuff, it doesn't work right, and then they just kind of low-key fix it without mentioning anything. I'm assuming they're just doing that because they don't want to admit that they screw up stuff all the time, including, if you looked at my playing video, which I can also link, basic math. In that, like, you can see that they literally couldn't figure out how to do this warplane equipment leveling and matched up appropriately with the leveling up of skills. So they just did a low-key upgrade that I posted during my video, because it literally happened like right when I was about to post it, without mentioning anything, and had to correct their basic math errors. So I guess the complexity of how this all works with the coding and stuff, I'm sure, is incredibly difficult. And if they can't even figure out basic math for things, then I'm not surprised that the results are just all over the place for this and pretty screwy. We just got done with our Void event. I didn't risk assigning K for any fighting at all. Same with our Duel of Dominance, which is going on right now. I haven't assigned him at all. I don't want to risk whatever COVID-esque, contagious computer coding virus he's got going on, extending to all my other troops and stuff too, and screwing things up even more. So I have not used him at all for anything besides testing, which I'm just going to go over the results again of new testing and how it seems like it's kind of all over the place right now. I did get to thinking though, so I think most people can agree that Camel is kind of on this like meteoric pace, this record-setting pace to ruin the game as fast as possible by releasing an insane amount of different new things that give pretty meaningful benefits and upgrades to your city, but that you basically only can get if you buy and spend a lot of money, while making it nearly impossible to get them for free, and or at least get them at a reasonable rate for free. to where there's any semblance of competition if you don't spend an incredibly significant amount of money. And it's rooting the game pretty clearly, because the discrepancies, the difference between like those max spending players and everybody else has just gotten so wide. The gap is so wide that it's hard to find good competition. I feel like we're either getting our butts kicked and can't compete because there's like usually just one super strong person that we just can't handle, or it's the other way around. We have a couple stronger players that other nations don't have those spenders, and it's just not even close for them either. So it's hard to find good competition in most events. I think a lot of people have been frustrated by that recently. I know it's gotten kind of boring for me and for a lot of other people too in many of the events, and it's obviously, I think, directly because of the amount of spending that is required for people. And unlike in the past, I played this game like 600 days now roughly, not super actively early on admittedly, but more so the last year or two, and seeing just the exponential increase in how strong the strongest players can get relative to everybody else has been alarming, I guess. Obviously, they need to make it so that it's competitive for people to have fun. And sure, if you spend a lot of money, you should have more advantages. These are paid to play competitively games, basically, in my opinion, pay to win. Most of what I've tried to do here is like find the most cost-effective ways to get every little advantage possible and to be competitive, giving Camel the least amount of money possible as like one of my main sources of competition, I guess, not just against other players, but against them for like trying to spite the pay-to-play style. And there are a million ways that they could do things to try to make it more competitive for everybody, so that it could be situations where you can bring numbers to actually compete again, including just doing more like free events that give better rewards, or more time intensive things, so that people who want to be active and don't want to spend can try to get a percent of these benefits in a reasonable time frame by just being more active. And if you're not going to spend money, you can spend more time type thing. I will say, I think Camel decided to go a different way with this maybe here, because it seems like they've continued their make sure you spend as much money as humanly possible, and trying to get the 0.1% of max spenders to keep spending that max amount where they get, I think, almost all the revenue from, probably, other than just the new nations going ham before they know better. So it seems like, in my opinion, that they're kind of continuing this max spending between this huge plane equipment addition that's incredibly expensive to level up, especially as you get higher levels, and then more officers than you can practically keep track of, just constantly dropping them. But I do think it's actually interesting that now they seem to be continuing that max spending pattern for people, but the more you spend, the worse you actually do, because these officers, like this officer doesn't actually work well, and so people maxing them are actually having worse results. So it seems like they've kind of maybe found this new way where they're going to just drop new things for people to buy, but they actually make your city much worse, to kind of maybe even that gap out again. So kudos to Camel then. I guess this is the most innovative thing I've certainly ever seen them try to come up with. So I'm really hoping they don't watch. I'm sure they don't watch any of my videos, but if they do, my account's probably going to disappear pretty soon here. So, but again, don't sue me. Just my opinion. May or may not be based on pretty obvious and objective facts and data, but whatever. So anyway, the last thing just to go through and show you guys in this quick video here was the results of the last couple days from the mine testing and how it's been kind of all over the place. So to the mines we go. Quickly, I just want to show the differences for people in case anyone's interested. So I think, so these are from 10.6. So remember here and here where you're going to see the benefits. So 100 and 231 is with the officer K not assigned. So not assigned, and I had 304,730 troops surviving. So 304,730. Now 115 and 318. So assigned, because that's this little benefit guys here. And 305,573. Huzzah. A little bit of improvement. So when I tested this, I was like, there's hope. There's hope for me that maybe they upgraded, even though they didn't give any details or mention the in-game updates and stuff. I thought maybe they snuck it in on us there. And then here, so 100, 231 not assigned, so K not assigned. 231, 901. So 233.03 is from 231, 901. And this is with him assigned. So slightly better again. So hope is continued. I wanted to believe again. They made me believe in love, happiness, joy, equality, world peace, end of world hunger, all those things again. I was so excited. Here you can see not assigned, so 100, 231, and I had 174,317 left. And then you can see here assigned. Suddenly now I only have 128,167 left. So 128K versus 174K with them not assigned. So the couple hundred to thousand improvement before seemed to be offset now by a massive, I guess, worsening with him assigned. So once again, love is dead, hope is ended, world peace, world hunger, never gonna happen. What can you do? So, and I watched this video too, and so this one was interesting because it was just such a significant difference, and again for the worse. So we're actually both mid-range, was one of the few other mid-range players, and I don't want to show somebody's stats without their permission, just out of respect for people, but I will just, you can see their formations, and you can see this fight, and then I can just show the other one too, and I will assure you I'm not trying to trick anybody. Like, their stats are the exact same. I attacked again right away after. I'll show one more video after this where I have it recorded so you can see really step by step what I'm doing. I'm not trying to trick anybody. This is not like clickbait. This is just me being hopefully thorough, but also annoyed and depressed by the fact that Camel can't get their act together, in my humble opinion. And so, I feel like I should speed this up. Okay. So we both, just so you can see again, the initial troop formations are the exact same, and the next one too. So again, just the exact same. The difference, the main difference is, I've only watched this like once or twice, so I just want to get this video out, but my my Titans and plane died slightly quicker in this fight where I lost more troops too, and I don't have any clue why that officer, who only if it seems to affect the troop HP and attack bonuses from what I have so far, why that is impacting the Titans and planes for me, so, and why I lost more troops faster. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then again, a lot of what Camel seems to do doesn't. Again, you can't ask them any questions about this stuff because they don't answer it. They either don't know and are incapable of figuring it out, or they just don't want to say, which is probably the more likely. Obviously, some of their developers certainly seem to know these things. They just don't want to share any of this information because, you know, what fun would that be, not letting us just choose our own adventure to figure all this out. So, yeah. And then let's see today. So before and after server reset, hoping maybe after server reset now on the new day, maybe there was sun was rising again and a whole new day. So 100, 231 not assigned, right? 340,767 left. And then 345,393. So assigned, and 145,000 assigned, 140,000 not assigned. So hope again, maybe, right? I'm just kidding. Obviously, everybody knows I know this is going. There's no hope. Let's give up on it. Then just let me show the last one that's there. I just recorded it from right after server reset today. So not assigned, as you can see, there's just nobody there. Let's hit up the mines. Go find somebody similar-ish enough to me, even though I have buffed up for dual dominance. So admittedly, I have the advantage, and I also have Aeon, so it's not a fair fight, certainly. But again, I just was trying to test this after server reset and didn't want to mess around trying to find the perfect opponent. That's not the point of this. Good times all around. I am actually going to do a dual dominance video hopefully pretty quickly here soon, just to get that out, because I haven't done one of those yet, and I think some people would still benefit from that. And there's a lot of questions about some of the strategy and stuff with that, so I figured I'd put that out. And then I promise I'm going to do the mid-range versus long-range stuff that people keep asking about for potentially switching. I'm probably not going to do the hybrid build video for a little while, just because that's so much more nuanced, and I'm not still a hybrid at this point. I'm mid-range. The fleet video that people also really want with like formations and stuff, I can try to get one of those out too soon. It's just, again, that's also nuanced. It's so specific to each individual situation. It's really hard to tell somebody what fleet they should use. You'd have to kind of see their fights, see what reason somebody's winning or losing fights, and then make adjustments accordingly to remedy that in battles. But just spoiler alert, a lot of this mind stuff that I'm doing right here is how you figure out for yourself what you need to do to have the best fleet formation possible. Is you test different fleets against people to figure out, do I need to have more long range as a mid-range player? Because if I don't, they die too fast and my poor female Titan gets smacked to death immediately and I lose, things like that. So you can try stuff out, and this is the best way to do it in a controlled fashion. Yeah, I didn't use it in Void because you can't test them in Void. There's no control. So let's see here. That's pretty much sums this video up. And just so you guys can see, those were the results, but the numbers here I can just show you guys, although I'll probably just post them as I do in the other videos. So 382, 505. This is not assigned, right? 100 and 231. So not assigned. 382. Assigned. All right, assigned. And about 11K less survive. So how this makes any sense at all, as I've already said, it doesn't. That's just Camel. It does not seem like it's been fixed. I have no new information. I also don't talk to the VIP rep, admittedly, because I've never once received an answer that has in any way answered one of my actual legitimate questions. And I think we all know that that's a great example of why AI bots will probably someday actually be a good thing in a lot of ways. Maybe we'll get more reliable answers on things. But anyways, this is just the update. I don't know when they're going to change things, if they're going to change things. I'm glad this shows Kay Camel doing some innovation here by trying something new for once, although I don't know about this whole buying a bunch of stuff and spending a bunch of money to do worse. I think that it's a bold choice, certainly. Probably not what I would choose to try to even things up, but hey, whatever they want to try. We're all just along for the ride. So thank you guys for watching this, and feel free to like and comment and subscribe. If you don't, I will understand if I disappear off the face of the earth. I'm not saying it was, who, but food for thought. So anyways, you guys have a good one. Thanks, bye.